What's up?
Hope you all are well, and welcome to again yet another episode of Legacy of the King. So, again, we've been on a little break again, but that's through no fault of ours, right?
Definitely not.
We've been trying to get content across to you guys for the last couple of weeks, but things beyond our control always seem to get in the way.
We have some noisy neighbors. Let's just put it like that.
But here we are today to give you guys some more
Conversation. Yeah.
So today's topic is modern women want a traditional man, but ... for dramatic effect.
Yeah. But what? Well, we'll find out as we go along.
You'll find out. So let's get right into it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So just for the general viewing audience and for our listening audience as well, those who may not know,
For those of you who are not following us or subscribed to the podcast,
we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, the three major podcasting platforms. And you guys can also view us on YouTube. You guys can also follow us on TikTok, Twitter.
not right now.
Not yet,
Not right now.
but we're also on Facebook as well and Instagram. So you guys can check us out on all social media platforms
Except Twitter.
except Twitter. So, again, for those who may not know, our viewing and listening audience, what does traditional man and traditional woman mean?
That's a really good question. You know, I actually didn't think about that before we started this podcast. But if I was to say right now, I would say it has a lot to do with what men and women were known to be like up until, I would say, the late 90s. I would say around the late 90s. Pre Destiny's Child Miss Independent. That's a joke. Eh? Yeah,
Okay,
but
okay.
and to elaborate more, people consider a traditional man to be the one who is the head of the household, the major breadwinner in the household, the one who is essentially bringing in the bacon, the protector, the provider, the advice giver, the problem solver, and so on and so on and so forth. And a traditional woman is one that people consider to be the nurturer, the lover, the caregiver, the one that is the glue of the family, the one that really keeps the family together, the one that keeps the family in harmony. That's what they would consider the traditional woman to be. Now things have changed somewhat.
Somewhat, you say.
Let's stick with somewhat.
All right.
Things have changed somewhat. And we currently don't have exactly quote unquote traditional in both genders.
In fact, it seems that tradition, in some cases, kind of fly out the window.
Exactly. And don't get it twisted. Just because this episode is modern women want a traditional man, but that means that we're only going to focus on the woman. No, we have an episode for the guys coming up too. So, ladies, don't feel like we're targeting you. We have things for the guys too.
Hmm.
But let's finish the title.
Yes, the dot dot dot.
The dot dot dot. So, modern women want traditional men, but they themselves don't want to be traditional.
Now, this episode, like many of our previous episodes, may raise some answers. It may be controversial to some,
It may rub people the wrong way.
but at the end of the day, we need to say what we need to say.
Yeah, and it raises dialogue. You need to have these conversations because we have everyone could see that the current state of things on both sides is clearly not working. There has been an increase in single parent households. There has been an increase in crime. There has been an increase in violent relationships,
Divorces.
divorces, and our society is not benefiting from the relationships that we're seeing now.
Correct.
And our children, especially, aren't benefiting from the relationships that we're seeing now. So it's not just about the relationship between men and women,
Mm-hmm.
it's also the consequences of the relationship between men and women.
Correct. It is, in fact, the erosion of the very fabric of society.
Exactly. Because society is built on the family first. And we've lost the consciousness of that. We don't realize that society is built on families first.
And there seems to be, on both sides, a general indifference to what is happening.
So that's why we're talking about it. It's not just about men versus women and why women are like this and why men are like this. It's not about that. It's more about we have to improve the state of our society. And this is not just in Trinidad where we're recording. This is in most of the Western world.
Yeah.
So why is it that modern women of today, they're very successful. They have degrees just like men. They have their own homes, they have their own cars, they have so on and so forth. Right? So we consider them modern compared to, let's say, the 1930s, where they were more at home housewives and they would take care of the home and cook and clean and so on and so forth. Why is it that modern women, they want the traditional man who is making more money than them and they and providing and protecting. However, they don't want to give them the lead. That's the first thing. And that is part of not themselves being traditional. Being not being in the lead or allowing the man to lead does not make you inferior, ladies. It does not make you less than. It's just a rule. Because, like I mentioned at the beginning, the traditional women were the glue of the family. Without you, there's no family.
And as a result, the first members of society.
Exactly. Like, there's nothing without you. The man is there to play a particular role, and that role is leader. Yes, we know there aren't much men with that quality right now. But what we're saying is that when you find one that has that quality, don't try to challenge the quality. Because you want a man to be a provider, you want a man to be a protector, you want a man to solve problems. If there's a problem in the home, if there's a problem with your car, you would like him to solve those problems. If you would like to renovate the home, it's either he's paying for it or he's doing the renovation. You would like that. However, the things that a man would need, which is, and is not limited to, things along the lines of when he comes home from work, if you're not working, there's food there. When he comes home from work, he sees a happy wife or companion. When he comes home, the children are already taken care of and so on. Again, this is if you're not working. All right. Now, I'm not saying that if you're working, you're going to ignore this completely. There has to be some balance. So it's either, okay, you can't cook, we order something. All right. But ultimately, and sometimes I feel as though, you know, since women have been working, like the children are not benefiting as much as they used to. You know? And this does not mean to go back to being housewives. This is just a discussion that we're having. It's just thoughts. Okay? Don't feel triggered by this. This is just thoughts that we're having. And I think that's why, like I was telling you last week, I think we should do a live because I would like the ladies to interact. I think it's important we have the dialogue because they would just assume that we just we add them to be oppressed or something. And this has nothing to do with oppression or anything along those lines.
We could do a part two to this particular episode.
Yeah, and we could make it
And make it
alive.
alive.
We could make it alive. Yeah, because again, this doesn't have anything to do with oppression. Because I don't think women are oppressed today. Yes, there are things going on. Yes, there's the whole human trafficking and and domestic violence and so on and so forth. I understand, right? But in terms of oppression, as in they can't do certain things, like you can't vote and you can't work and you can't drive a car and no, there's no pressure. As a matter of fact, I would say that in some cases they have more advantage than men. Now it might vary from country to country, but there are more women in management positions. No, there are more women in high paying jobs. Women tend to, on average, make more money than men now. There are more men in jail. There are more men uh,
Fighting wars,
fighting wars and
dying,
dying and so on and so forth.
suicides, etc.
Right. So things are nice. Like we look at it, we look on social media all the time. You tend to see more women on vacations than men.
That is true.
You tend to see more women on vacations than men. Like for every man you see on vacation, you might have 10 to 15 women on vacation.
Yep. And also to add, even within the education system, like universities, the in order to get to the three jobs that we always talking about, doctor, lawyer, engineer, is packed with women.
Yeah, the admissions rate is actually higher for females than males.
Mm-hmm.
The graduation rate, there are more women with advanced degrees than men. There are more women with masters and PhDs than men.
Correct. And even when we were in secondary school, like the scholarships.
The scholarships, there were more girls getting scholarships, full scholarships, than the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think women are oppressed in the 21st century. So we have to get that myth out of the way. What we need to do now is to figure out how we could get to a common ground and how we could get women who believe that they don't need to allow a man to lead them, or they don't need um, or there could be equal leadership in a household. Listen, you can't have two CEOs in a company. There isn't a captain and co-captain of a ship. There's a
Same
captain
thing.
and a first mate. On a sports team, there's a captain and a vice captain. You can't have two captains. In the army, there's a general and one general and everybody below that.
On a plane, there's one pilot and there's a co-pilot.
Yeah, there's a pilot and a co-pilot, and that pilot is called the captain. It's not co-captain and captain. It's captain, then co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody has to lead. It can't be two people. Somebody has to lead. Now, what I've noticed is that a lot of women tend to, if they have that kind of outlook, they tend to either remain by themselves or they end up with a guy who's more passive and allow them to take the lead. Now, from what I've seen, in the long term, it doesn't really work out well because the woman tends to become resentful that the guy doesn't challenge,
Mm-hmm.
that the guy is passive, he agrees with everything. And sometimes, unfortunately, there's infidelity because the woman meets a guy who is a leader, who challenges her, and who doesn't take her word for it.
So it affects both sides.
It affects both sides. And that's why we have to have the conversation about the guys, next time.
Yeah. So because of that, I think we mentioned probably briefly in previous episodes where the because of that traditional man and traditional woman, there is almost like preset rules that we must live up to.
Yeah.
And anything outside of that is going to cause problems.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because it was meant to be that way for a particular reason, to keep the balance.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a reason why there was tradition. Now, some people abuse the tradition. That is where the first wave of feminism came, because some people, not all men, some men abused tradition.
They were the minority.
I would say so. I would say so.
But again, it's like the saying goes, Peter pay for Paul and Paul pay for all.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to realize that tradition isn't bad.
Now, I'd like to ask a question at this point where, if you know that is, bro, where did the whole issue with tradition, where did it come from? Where did it break away, basically?
Well, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know for sure, but I could only speculate.
Mm-hmm.
I could only speculate. I would say it came about where I now I could remember when I did some research as it relates to when feminism came up. And I think it came up around the same time as the civil rights movement. And it was actually started in the Caucasian community, where the wives of that community felt uh, taken advantage of,
Oppressed?
oppressed. Uh, the some of their husbands would be violent toward them. Obviously, they would be unfaithful, um, and I guess it was frustrating them.
Right. Again, the abuse.
The abuse,
All right.
right? And obviously, they created the movement, but it wasn't just them joining the movement. It was all the other women. And in reality, I wouldn't say all the other women. I would say some of the other demographics of women. But in reality, the other demographics didn't have it like that.
Mm.
Now, again, I don't know all of the information, but what I can say is that whatever happened in the past is affecting relationships now. And that's the problem.
Hmm.
So when we look at dating now, especially in the social media era, when we look at dating now, a lady goes on a date with a man. As a matter of fact, my girlfriend sent me a video. I think it was yesterday or something, where a girl, this is her first date with a guy. Her first date. So they're not in a relationship. This is her first date. So he carried her to Applebee's. Applebee's is a restaurant in the US, but it's not like a high end restaurant. It's like you just go and you have like your appetizers, the main course, whatever, whatever, and it will come up to maybe like $50 US or something like that. Right?
So it's more of a casual
A
place.
casual place. You know, so it's a
big
place,
restaurant.
right? So it's a place for you to to know one another, so on and so forth, see if you all are compatible and that kind of thing, right? The girl said, I don't want to sound as though I don't want to come out. I don't want to come out. I think she said it like I don't want to come across in a. I don't want this to come across in a bad way. But how much money do you make? And he was like, why you need to know that? She said, because again, she's preempting with something like a kind of a disclaimer. I'm not a gold digger, but I don't date broke men. And his response was, "Well, you're not my girl. This is our first date. We're getting to know each other." She was like, "But we could get to know each other in a better restaurant." And my thing is, what is the what is now again? I don't know. I know that all women are not like this. All women are like this. This might be a very small group of people. But what is your purpose of being in a relationship with someone if the first question or one of the first questions you ask is how much money they're making? Because I think at the end of the day, according to her, if you're dating to get married, you have to see, okay, is this person treating me well? Is this person a nice person to everybody else in terms of does he have courtesy? Is he a gentleman?
And again, as we mentioned in previous episodes, that one, you have to know the purpose for dating. If you're just having fun, or if you're dating, it should be for marriage.
Exactly.
And also, as we mentioned, simple things like how you treat the waiter, how you treat people who can't do anything for you, how you treat animals. And that goes for both men and women.
So at the end of the day, ladies, let's just say, okay, it's fine to ask that question. You ask that question, and I'm sure if women are listening to this podcast and they just heard that story, some of them would say, "What's wrong with asking that question?" But if I gave a different scenario where the guy asked if she could cook, there would be uproar. We'd have riots.
Mm-hmm. Now, I asking that question is not so much the problem, but is what follows. The reason why I'm saying that is because it could, at least for me, in my opinion, I could look at it in two ways. One, she could have been asking the question to find out if the guy could provide
Mm.
and be a good provider,
Mm.
or two, she could be asking it to challenge.
Mm.
Like, if I'm making more money than you, or you making more money than me, like how we gonna do this kind of thing, right? But when I say challenge, it's usually not in a positive way,
Mm.
right? That's how I see it.
Right.
But as you said, the follow up to that was that I'm not a gold digger, but
Mm.
that was the issue.
But even before that, let's just say he's making less money than her. That doesn't mean it's going to stay that way.
No,
That's the first thing.
correct.
The second thing, she's not his girl.
Mm-hmm.
So she don't have any right to ask that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She don't have any right to ask that question. That's why there are a lot of guys now who are making a lot of money but choose on the first date to go to a simple place just to see what will happen.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
Because at the end of the day, remember, as if we go back to the oppression myth, the laws don't favor men in divorce.
Mm-hmm.
The laws don't
Especially in divorce.
the laws don't favor men in divorce. If she decides to file for divorce, citing whatever this means, irreconcilable differences, whatever that means, she can take half his worth that she didn't even work for.
Yep. Yep.
So at the end of the day, a question like that, that's why men have lost trust in women. Men have lost trust. Because if you're asking that question, let me give you another rebuttal. If you're asking that question and the income is your priority, then that means that a guy with more could take you from the guy that you're with now. Because you don't love him or you don't
Yeah.
care for him,
You love the money.
you love his money and what he could do for you. He could take you on trips and shower you with gifts and so on. But the other guy could shower you with even more expensive gifts. If this guy bought you a range, the other guy could buy you a Lambo.
Mm-hmm.
If this one bought you Louis Vuitton, the other one could buy you MS. If you're living in a 3-bedroom house, the other one would put you in a 5. So that's what you're looking at. Like your whole thing is based in hypergamy. It's like the next best thing. It's always the next best thing. And that's why there are a lot of guys that are saying now that they don't want to get married. Because financially is not beneficial to them.
Yeah.
Because she's going to leave you with half of your net worth plus going into a new relationship with someone who has more. So that person getting access to your half that you work so hard for.
And you might lose the next half depending.
Dependent, yeah. Yeah.
And again, that's lucky if she leave with half, eh?
Because some get more. Some people get more.
Yeah. Lucky.
So I think ultimately, when you're dating ladies, and this is advice. Again, this is not us bashing you. This is advice so that you're not 50 years old and in a relationship with someone you resent, or not in a marriage at all, never had children, and all you have is maybe a dog, a pet, or something, and you're bitter. I'm not saying to surrender to some stupid guy. But again, if you look at our previous episodes, we've said it so many times, learn to date with intention. Understand what it is that men look for in women. We're not saying don't go get your degree. By all means, go get a degree. You're entitled to do it we're in the modern world. But understand that men don't really care about your degree. It's not something that is a deal
Requirement.
maker or a
Yeah.
deal breaker for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you have. I'm going to add an adjective to the men. Real men don't care if you have a house or a car. Because again, going back to the whole traditional thing, men who are traditional believe it's their responsibility to provide those things. So if you have it, fine, no problem. But as it relates to where we're going to live, I provide that. Whether it be sacrificing certain things, or I increase my salary in either in starting a business or getting a promotion or whatever it is, or I have savings and I decide that okay, I'm either going to put on a mortgage, or if I have enough money, purchase a new home, cash. But that's my job. Even if you have your own home and your own car, no problem, that's fine. However, that's our responsibility. That's the traditional aspect. But if
Correct.
that is what you want, understand that you have to bring some tradition too. You have to bring some tradition too. If you have a job, okay, no problem. You don't have to cook every day. There, again, communication. If you want to get married, the biggest thing in a marriage is communication. You have to communicate with your husband. Say, babe, for I'm working 8 hours every day. Sometimes I might have to work 9 or 10, depending on the day. So I wouldn't be able to cook every day. But in the modern world, obviously men know that women are working and so on. And a guy who understands that says, "Oh, fine, no problem. During the week we just order something."
Yeah, buy food or something.
Or what we do, like, okay, let's do this. How about we meal prep the weekend? So on the weekend, let's say the Sunday, we uh, we cook for the week. So we figure out what it is that we want. And so again, the communication, there's dialogue. We could come to a compromise, right? You have to bring tradition if you want a traditional man, ladies.
I think we also said in a previous episode that what you want, you have to become.
Exactly.
So you yourself have to be traditional in order to attract a traditional man.
Exactly. So again, meeting a traditional man, sleeping with a traditional man does not mean you can keep a traditional man.
I wanted to repeat that again, bro.
Meeting and sleeping with a traditional man does not mean you can keep a traditional man. So, like Nick said, if you want a traditional man, you need to be yourself a traditional woman. There has to be some form of reciprocity. But
Mhm.
why do they want to reciprocate? Why is there this reluctance to reciprocate?
Hmm.
I've been trying to figure this out for the longest while. This is what you want. Okay, no problem. Fine. But where's the reciprocity?
And not only that, because well, I've been trying to figure it out as well for some time now. But why the reluctance to reciprocate? Like you want something, right, of a particular value, but you don't consider where you are right now at this point in time, your value at this point in time. All right. Now, I'm not saying it can't change, but obviously, certain work has to be done to get to that point.
Hmm.
And in order to get to that point, when you actually reach to that point, is only then can you attract that.
But I don't even think it's not that they don't have value in it or they don't put value in it. I think they put their value in the wrong place.
Hmm.
Right now, their value is placed in their job, their degree, the things that they were able to purchase or own,
Things.
and their body, their appearance.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, guys like nice things. They like to see sparkly things. We understand that. Yes, okay. That's to get your foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
But to stay
In the house.
in the house, there are certain qualities that women have that they should not suppress.
Hmm.
You see that ability to care, that ability to understand, that ability to love.
The innate things.
Yeah, exactly. The agreeableness.
Hmm.
We don't want to leave fighting the world to come home to
The
fight
fight.
with you too.
Yeah.
After our boss pisses us off, or a deal falls through for the guys that are entrepreneurs, a deal falls through, or an employee tries to steal from you.
Yep.
When we leave that, we want to come home to someone that is smiling, that's happy, that's pleasant. That like we need peace. Ultimately, we do things for peace.
Physical peace and peace of mind.
Yes, that is why we need the loyalty. I know women don't like this word. We'll try to find a synonym for it. But I know this is like you're using obscenities when you say this word. I'll go and say it now. It might trigger some people. We'll get a synonym for it. That is why we need the submission. I'm going to look for a synonym. Agreement. That is a synonym for it, okay?
Again, agreeableness.
Yes, agreement. Compliance. Right? That is all. We don't want a fight. If you want us to provide and protect, in order for us to protect, that means you need to listen to us. If we say, babe, I don't think you should go down there, or I don't think you should go there today, or watch out. They'll be like,
Why?
why you and why are you telling me what? No, there's a reason. We're not saying that to control you. There's a reason why. If I tell you why, that means there's less time to do what we need to do
To get out of the situation.
to get out of the situation. If I tell you, we walk faster, there's a reason why I'm telling you walk faster. I'm not telling you walk faster because I find you walking slow and I think you should. No. Walk faster because I think it have somebody following us, so we need to get to the car fast. Walk faster. We just need agreeableness. Not all men deserve the agreeableness, however, and we're going to talk about that
in our next episode.
in our next
Coming up.
episode.
And if that is the case, ladies, then more than likely, you probably shouldn't be with that fella.
Exactly.
Because if you're dating to get married, I don't think you'd want to get married to somebody like that.
You don't want to get married to somebody who doesn't know how to protect. So again, dating with intention. There are certain things that you have to look for when you're dating. Back in the early 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, whenever, things were different. You could see if a man is a real man or not right there. Because he might have to fight, he might have to go to war, he might have to kill a bear, I don't know. But you would see the masculinity come out. The masculine traits come out on the spot.
Yeah.
Now the way society is a little different. You can't tell. Just because somebody has on a shades and his beard big, and no offense. I don't talk about him. Right? I'm just saying there's some pseudo masculine guys out there who the beard big and they have big muscles and all kind of thing. But when it's time to protect or to be aware of their surroundings, they can't do it. Because you have to be, as a man, you have to be aware of your surroundings. If you're walking down the street, sidewalk for the Americans, pavement for the Trinidadians and the rest of the Caribbean, and maybe in the UK. And that man has you walking on the side where cars are passing. You need to leave that guy. That's not the guy they should be dating. They're supposed to know, listen, women are always on the inside of the pavement / sidewalk. Always.
Well, boy.
When you're leaving a place, you don't open the door for the lady to go out first. You go out first, look and see what's outside, and then you hold the door open for her to come out after you. I'm sure there are guys that did not know that. I'm sure there are guys that are opening doors for girls to leave a facility or a restaurant to go out onto the street. You don't know if somebody was watching that girl and waiting for them in a car.
Correct. So they open the door for the lady to walk outside
And somebody
first
snatch them up and go on.
and call it chivalry.
There. No, you need to know. You need to understand there's nuances to this thing. You need to know there's nuances to this thing. Don't worry, guys. We're going to give the whole thing next week. Next week is for you guys.
Well, I'm pretty sure for the ladies that may be watching or listening to this episode, I'm pretty sure there may be a lot of breakups after. Hopefully not, but you know. Ron and Nick say, if you open the door for me and you let me out first, you're not a good protector. If you let me walk on the sidewalk or pavement on the outside, now we're done. You're horrible.
Please don't do that. Please. Okay? I'm begging you. This is just to raise dialogue, to open dialogue. That's all this is.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't advice necessarily. This is just to open dialogue, to become conscious of certain things. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And again, don't worry, guys, your turn coming.
Of course. So, again, ladies, you might have all of these things like your degree and your vehicle, your home, your high paying job. But please don't fall to the myth of the independent woman. Because I have some news for you. No one is independent. I said this before in previous episodes, and I'll say it again. No one is independent. Not a man, not a woman. No one is self-made. Not a man, not a woman.
We are interdependent.
We are interdependent. We are interdependent. Never forget that.
You know the saying, guys, no man is an island. Precisely that.
So all of the ladies that say, I don't need a man. That car that you drive was built by men. The office that you work in was built by men.
The sidewalk that you walk on, the road that you drive on,
Built by men. The university in which you got your degree was started by men.
the systems that are put in place for you to get your divorce
Were created by men. So, understand independent woman is a myth. If you want to be happy, understand that the independent woman concept, archetype, is a myth. It will do you more harm than good if you continue to assume that you're an independent woman and you don't need a man. And again, some of you may be single parents. There are exceptions to this rule. I know, because I know people who are exceptions to this rule. But for the rest of you, no one forces you to choose the person that you have children with. Again, there are exceptions to this rule and I am very much aware of that because I know personally, firsthand, exceptions to this rule. I'm not going to go into the details because you could kind of figure it out. But for the rest of you, no one forces you to choose the person that you have children with. You choose that person. So, if you are a single parent, understand it was your choice to choose that person. You have to date with intention. Again, I'm going to say it again. You have to date with intention. Do not date because they're handsome or they smell nice or they have a nice car or they have a lot of money. Those things are not the person. Those things are not the person. If someone is only trying to impress you with the things that they have, you're making a big mistake. You are making a big mistake.
And I'd like to add at this point, bro, just to add to what you're saying, how many times we know that people can quite easily be scammed by advertisements. The advertising package seems to be so flawless, so perfect, so good. It appeals to all your senses, everything that you're looking for. And as soon as you click that button, subscribe to wherever, big, big, big trouble.
Instant scam. And you usually see the repercussions quickly. You usually see it quickly.
So please don't fall for advertisements, especially if it appeals to all your senses, everything that you're looking for.
I will go so far as to say some people have seen other people get scammed by that same advertisement and still click the button. But then, when the same thing happens to them, they would say, all advertisements, all commercials
Is bad.
are bad.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't understand the analogy, we say all men are dogs. But seriously, if you see a man, we know a few famous ones. If you see a man that has 3 children from 3 different women, and you choose to give him his fourth, and then wonder why he's in there after the fourth is born.
And as if even if he is successful as well, right?
Yeah, even if he is successful, I'm not talking about just the ones that not successful, but they have game. They have a way with words, and they could. I'm not talking about just those guys alone. I'm also talking about the guys that are financially successful.
Yeah, because I think we need to mention that, especially.
Again, nobody put a gun to your head and told you to go with this guy who has 3 children by 3 different women and have his fourth. You chose that. So then you can't say when he doesn't show up when he finds out that you're pregnant, or he starts ghosting you when he finds out that you're pregnant, that you don't understand why men are like this. No, it's not about why men are like this. It's why did you put yourself with someone who you are very much aware.
If you are very much aware.
If you're very much aware. If you don't understand what we just said there, well, you find out in time. But you can't say that men are bad because you chose somebody who's bad. It doesn't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
That's like me ending up with someone who has a reputation for having multiple partners and saying that all women are bad because she cheated on me. But you knew she was bad. You knew she was bad. You saw her with one guy this weekend. 2 weekends later, you saw her again with another guy. Then another, maybe 3 weekends again, you see her with another guy. You end up being the fourth guy on the 6th weekend.
She's a socialist.
You decided to start a relationship. I don't know why I do that, but you decided to start a relationship with this person and wonder why there's a 5th or 6th guy on the 9th and 10th weekend. And then going so fast to say that you can't understand why women are like this, but you clearly chose the woman who was bad.
And hopefully, she's not in a relationship with all of them.
Right. That makes you a stupid man. Men don't hold back when it comes to other men. If a man sees a guy do that, all of them are going to laugh at that guy. We don't hold back. We tell each other the truth. We tell each other the truth. We don't hold back. So why is it? And again, I need to keep reiterating this. This is not all of you ladies. This is not all of you. Why is it that when you choose someone who you know is with multiple women at a time, has 3 children by 3 different women, you decide to give him his fourth. You say you can't understand why men are like this, and your friends agree with you.
But not only that, but I've heard some people say I could change him.
You could change your clothes. You can't change a man. A man only changes when he chooses to change. I'll say that again. A man only changes when he chooses to change. I'm going to slip in something for the men too. You can't save no girl. Go and listen to Joe Cole. I mean, not Joe Cole, J. Cole. I was watching football today, that's why that happened. Go listen to J. Cole. You can't save a woman. If she chooses to live a particular life, that's her choice. So again, ladies, you can't change a man. If a man is a particular way, he will always be that way until he decides to change.
Remember the episode we spoke about regarding red flags?
Yeah.
And again, if somebody shows you something, don't powder coat it. Take it as face value. Same thing applies. Same thing applies.
Don't gloss over it because you think you're in love. You see someone do something, don't gloss over it because he's wearing Burberry cologne or because he's driving a Benz or a BM or he could get you into all the parties.
They'll say, nah, you must make a mistake, nobody perfect, we're all humans. It have mistakes and it have mistakes.
Or it have mistakes and it have habits.
Yeah. That's for our international audience. The local people know what I said. Yeah.
So, ladies, listen. Take it from men. Some of us have your best interests at heart.
Believe it or not.
Whether you believe it or not.
I have to say that.
Yeah. Some of us have your best interests at heart. And if you would love to live a happy rest of your life, meaning, and this is for those of you who want it, you want to live, you want to have a family, with children, a beautiful home, and so on, and you want to stay married and not have to go through divorce, one, understand that the independent woman is a myth. Two, reciprocity is paramount. Three, please be agreeable. 4, be his peace. Please, be his peace. 5, if you choose to expect certain things from a man, then you also have to choose to adhere to his expectations of you as a woman. If you want a traditional man, you yourself have to be traditional. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, like I said, we all understand what the world is like today. Most women are working, so there can't be complete traditionalism. I hope that's a word. It sounds like a word. But at least find a way to compromise, communicate. The majority of men don't make 100,000 US a year. That is the top 1%.
Again, another minority.
So not all of you could be with the top 1%. Now, understand, if all of you want to be with the top 1%, know that the top 1% will be playing the field. Okay? So I've said my piece.
And lastly, to add and to reiterate what we said before, ladies, please date with intention. Can't remember if you said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to reiterate again, please
Please
date with intention.
date with intention. And again, understand that we are not talking about all women. Okay? We know some of you understand. But for the ones that don't, again, if you want to be happy and not be miserable and not be resentful, understand that there are good men out there. There are actually more good men than you think. But there needs to be some cooperation, some agreeableness. Okay? So,
And I'll leave that for the part 2.
okay.
When we have the live.
Okay, good.
Right.
So we may have the live maybe in like 2 weeks or so.
How about that?
About 2 weeks.
Hopefully.
Provided that the noisy neighbors don't interrupt next week.
Yes. Right. Again, guys, we can with what we have for now, right? Until better can be done, so that we can provide better for you guys.
All right.
So again,
it was nice.
Yes, another good episode, another good conversation. Again, guys, just remember we are on the 3 major podcasting platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And feel free to leave a like, share, comment, and we'll respond to you guys as soon as we can in whichever manner we can, whether it should be addressed on an episode or in the comment section. All right. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you next week, hopefully.
See you in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Take care, guys.